Welcome to Lemberdopic Live here on Unprecedented TV, where we find the facts, kill the spin, and tell it like it is as best we can. If you're watching this live, then we are a day away from the Gorton and Denton by-election, which you might not even care about, but I do. I believe this parliamentary election, in other words, for one seat after the resignation of a Labour MP, isn't so much a referendum on Labour, but a referendum on Keir Starmer's leadership. Oftentimes, you can get a snapshot of the public opinion towards the sitting government, and that's certainly the situation here. But given how strong people's personal views about Keir Starmer, I suggest it goes further than that. I suggest that if Keir Starmer loses what has been a safe seat since time immemorial for Labour, then almost no Labour seat is safe at this time. That could increase the pressure on him to stand down as Prime Minister. There's a whole different conversation to be had about who might replace him. But I would suggest that a huge amount rests and rides on the outcome of this election. Meantime, we've got the Greens and Reform UK as favourites. One or the other of them is, in my view, very likely to win. Though there are those who say there are shy Labour voters. People are embarrassed to admit they're voting Labour, but they will do all the same. Who can make sense of all of this? Well, who better than one of the candidates in the election? And let's see how much I can get from him in by way of making predictions. So let's be honest, as a candidate himself, he'll probably talk himself up more than the others. It's none other than a friend to Unprecedented TV and a candidate for Advance UK in the by-election. It's Nick Buckley, MBE. Thanks for joining us at a busy time, Nick. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. I'm shattered. I could do with a good night's sleep, but I've only got 2 more days to go.
Are you enjoying it?
Enjoyment's not the right word. I'm not despising it or hating it. I think the word is focused. All my energy, all my time, I'm focused on 10 o'clock Thursday evening. So I'm just focused.
Now, I don't expect you to be completely objective. Let's be honest about it. And you're here because we're not going to stop having you on air on your usual Wednesday spot just because you're the candidate. And it's actually quite serendipitous because we get the inside story. And let's be adult about it. There are some things that you're not going to say because you're in a competition. And you may not want to talk up the competition. We'll put that on the table. That's just the truth. But I understand that, contrary to my expectations, Keir Starmer did turn up in the constituency. I'm not sure. Is that the candidate there?
She's a Greek lady with a heavy Greek accent. Starmer turned up a day ago inside with a nice controlled audience, all Labour supporters. He shook some hands and he disappeared. Keir Starmer is the only Prime Minister in my lifetime who's not allowed to walk around the streets anymore, who's not allowed to be with people who's not been handpicked because they boo him, they shout at him, and there's always outbreaks of Starmer is so therefore he has to control where he is all the time, indoors with strict Labour voters and supporters.
They actually use that phrase. Don't repeat it, please. Well, probably by the time you... Okay, let's hope that we manage to get a beep in there. Not because I'm particularly offended by it, but I try to make sure it's family friendly.
But that's exactly what people are singing on the streets, singing at football matches. I think someone's released a song with that phrase in it about Starmer. So that is what people are shouting.
Not exactly what you want from the leader of a G7 country. I guess that implies from what you're saying, and I know that you've got a vested interest in potentially talking down the opposition, but from what you're saying, I'm pretty sure that we've got that basically means he's not an electoral asset, or at least Labour doesn't think of him as an electoral asset in this campaign.
He's not been an asset since the day he walked through 10 Downing Street. He doesn't have a personality. He comes across as a robot. We know all these things. That doesn't mean he was guaranteed to be a poor Prime Minister just because he wasn't flamboyant and didn't have a great personality. But he hasn't got anything about him to be Prime Minister. So he's not been an asset to anybody since the day he walked through 10 Downing Street. And he's not an asset to his candidate in Gorton and Denton. But he is an asset to Labour supporters and volunteers, because they need geeing up a little bit. They need that extra bit of energy for 2-3 days more campaigning. So that's why he's turned up. He's turned up for the photo opportunity and to give the volunteers and supporters a little bit more energy to carry on knocking on doors and delivering leaflets.
Is he popular with his activists?
That I couldn't answer. I mean, I don't think the activists hate him. I think privately they'll all say we could do with a better prime minister. Who wouldn't say that? But the activists are, dying the wool supporters. So it doesn't affect them.
It'll affect the candidate if she doesn't win. I've got Northern Ireland accent. How dare you criticise the Labour candidate's Greek accent? I quite like Greece. I quite like Greek accent. But anyway, that's a different story. I don't have a vote there. Now, Starmer has had all kinds of problems. Just a question: has all this stuff about Mandelson and Epstein and Starmer's bad judgment, has that come up on the doorstep, or is that just the kind of tittle tattle and chatter that you get around Westminster?
Yeah, no one's mentioned Mandelson to me whatsoever. But what they do mention, if Labour comes up in the conversation, I'd say half of the people I speak to, once Labour's mentioned, then use the phrase, "Oh, the pedo party, the pedo apologists, the pedo lovers." So there's a lot of anger out there around paedophilia for the Labour Party. But Peter Mandelson, Epstein, never been mentioned to me in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I've had the feeling to an extent that this is a Westminster story, however important it is from a political point of view or judgment point of view. I just don't feel that if you go more than 10 miles from Westminster, or say 20 miles, that the public is that fussed about it. It doesn't really affect them directly. That's what I think.
It's more than that. It's not that it doesn't affect them. No one's ever heard of Peter Mandelson. This is a name no one's ever heard of. We know it because we're involved in politics. No one else on the street has ever heard of the man.
That's kind of interesting because he was arrested. Once again, if you're watching this live, he was arrested yesterday in the archive. If you're watching it from the archive, you might find out if it went anywhere. There you go. Peter Mandelson arrested. His ex-Labour peer released on bail as Virginia Giuffre's family issues statement. Now, this does seem to me, it's interesting what you're saying, because it does seem to me this is a story between politicians and between the media. If you're just about managing in Whalley Range housing estate in Manchester, probably the first thing on your mind isn't working out what Peter Mandelson did and didn't do. It's worth also pointing out, as another subtlety here, this whole thing about Mandelson isn't even about the sex abuse against Epstein. It's about whether Peter Mandelson broke the terms of his job as a minister or as an envoy when he was in a political position. Now, most people don't even understand what that means. I mean, I barely understand it, to be honest with you. But so I suppose it's so far removed from everyday life, it doesn't really make a difference. But it is interesting to hear you say that. Not one person has raised that. By the way, to keep people watching, we're going to play a very interesting little video made by you or your team after the break. But just another quick question for you. You're local to the area, I understand. To what extent? And you mentioned well, Matt Goodwin's the Reform UK candidate. He's not from the area. To what extent do you feel that being local makes a difference? Does that come up? Does anyone talk about that, or do they like the idea that the spotlights on Gorton and Denton and Matt Goodwin, who I understand was big on television?
People all the time. You look at polls, and people always say they want a local person to represent them locally. So either in any election, they want someone local. All the polls show that. Some of the criticism I've had on the street about reform is about Matt Goodwin being bussed in from down south somewhere. And yes, he went to Salford Uni, but no, he thinks because he went to Salford, he has a connection to Denton and Gorton. People in Salford are not Mancunians, and don't know where Tameside is. And his claim to fame is when he was a student working, he delivered some pizzas at some point to Gorton and Denton. That's his claim to fame. Matt Goodwin himself, many people who I speak to like Matt Goodwin because, he says lots of things that we all like. Nigel Farage himself isn't as popular as we think on the street. He's like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. And I don't think Reform are doing as well as they think they're doing in this area.
If he delivered like 150,000 pizzas in the area, that would make a difference. Maybe he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Just think, if you get paid per job, how much money you'd make if you did that. A little factoid, it's not directly relevant, but I do want to share it. When Rachel Reeves, who for some amazing and incomprehensible reason is still the Labour Chancellor in the government, when she came back saying that she had done a £300 million deal with China, that's enough for one Chinese takeaway per household in Britain if you get it in the happy hour. It wasn't very much, really. Anyway, what are the subjects that they're talking about on the doorstep?
Yep. So you can split the area into two. So you got the Gorton side, which includes bits of Longsight, Burnage, and Levenshulme. Their number one issue is grime, dirty streets. I mean, the place is a mess. It's been run by council. It's run by Labour for 100 years, and the place is filthy, absolutely filthy, and it's filthy all the time. That's their number one issue when they're speaking to me. Across the border into Denton, which is run by Tameside Council, the streets are extremely clean. It's a very nice, clean area. I mean, it's working class, and it's a poor working class area, but it's nothing like Gorton. Their issues they're mentioning to me is mass migration. It's all about mass migration. It's closing the borders. It's crime from migrants. It's sexual assaults by migrants. They've got a whole different view of the world compared to the people once you cross the border into Manchester and Gorton.
Interesting. It sounds like a tale of two cities, really.
It is.
Stay with us. I want to ask you a little bit more about the situation. You're watching me, Len Petopia, talking with Nick Buckley, who so far at least I think has been quite objective, considering he's a candidate in a by-election, which, if you're watching live, is tomorrow. After the break, I'm going to ask him, I'm going to try and force him to make a prediction. But don't hold your breath, folks. You don't usually get a very, very direct answer to that question when you're asking candidates. And I'm going to also try and establish what it is that's causing the Greens to be polling well. Whether they win or not is a different question. The Green Party? It's the eve of the by-election in Gorton and Denton. Why are we focusing on this? Because it's, in a very real sense, I think, a referendum on Keir Starmer's leadership. It's a seat which was held by 51% of the vote by Labour the last time. That means that of those who voted, an absolute majority voted Labour. No one really thinks Labour's going to win, apart from my guest today, Nick Buckley. You think that they might be doing better than the polling suggests?
Yeah, I'm not saying Labour's going to win. I'm just saying Labour have a chance of winning because they're not doing as bad as we think they are. So there's lots of shy Labour voters out there who can't vote for the Greens because the Greens are mental and don't want to vote for Reform because deep down inside they're socialists and I've always voted Labour. I'm still going to vote Labour. I'm just not going to tell anybody. So those people exist. The Greens aren't doing as well as we think they're going to do. They still could win, but they're not doing as well as we think. The press and online media has sort of promoted the Greens. They're doing well in the Gorton side because they're basically a Muslim party in this by-election. And Reform are not doing as well as we think. Still could win, but not doing as well because they've got the wrong candidate, a Southerner. That's not gone down. That's not gone down well on the doorstep. And the campaign's been a bit flash. People have complained that Reform are everywhere and how much money they're spending, and no one cared about us for 50 years. But now you're all knocking on my door, and I'm sick of all of yous. So I think it's going to be a poor turnout as well. The turnout at the general election was 48%. I think it's going to be a lot less than that this time round.
When I was active in the Liberal Democrats, as I was for decades, people did used to moan about the amount of leaflets they got. So I'm sick of getting another leaflet, but those people probably weren't voting for us anyway. My feeling is that if reform is present all over the place, that might actually help them. But we shall see. You mentioned Matt Goodwin a couple of times. Has Nigel Farage, there he is, has Nigel Farage been up quite a lot or not?
He has been up. I couldn't tell you how many times he's been up, but I have seen videos and stuff of him up. And just like Nigel, there was a video of him sat in a pub having a pint with Matt Goodwin, as if he's a man of the people.
He does like a pint. I honestly, I can assure you, he definitely likes a pint.
Yeah. I'm sure he does. So do I.
I wasn't doubting that. The question then is that, so you got Matt Goodwin there. The question is, it's just a short one. I don't want to dwell too much on this. Why do you think the reform isn't as popular as much of certainly the right-wing media suggests?
Several things. So this isn't scientific. This is me just speaking to several hundred people on the streets. Matt Goodwin is the wrong candidate. He's the right candidate for big reform supporters in the area because they know him, they love him already. They're thankful he's standing. But most people who are not reform supporters, who may vote reform, he's the wrong candidate. He's from down south, and they don't like that. Nigel Farage himself is like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. And many people in the area who are former Labour supporters who are tempted with reform actually say, Nigel Farage, I'm not voting for Nigel Farage's party. And some other people say the complete opposite. I love Nigel Farage, I'm voting for Reform UK. I just don't feel it on the ground. I don't feel it on the ground at all. And don't forget, they're only really campaigning in Denton. Gorton isn't their area because of the high Muslim vote and because of all the woke students and other people living there.
You can't really win I know this from personal experience. Actually, in another by-election I was heavily involved in Birmingham, the candidate Nicola Davis lived down. She did very well in lots of areas, but she didn't win every area. And I think it was because some of the areas were just inherently Labour that the party lost, but only by 450 votes. I think you have to poll well across an entire constituency in order to win. So that's kind of an interesting point. Now, I want to play the video in a moment that you've put together, but I've got to talk about the Greens. Now, the Greens are doing very well in the polling, in the betting odds. We don't know what they're doing in the polling. In the betting odds. Greens and Reform, UK circle Labour stronghold in Manchester by-election, says this headline. Now, I don't know anything about this woman who's the candidate. I saw that David Poulton, now known as Zach Polanski, the Green self-styled and slightly oddball Green leader's been up. Why the Greens are clearly doing quite well. Why are they being talked about so much?
That's because of the fall of Labour. So in this area, which is 100 years, has been a traditional Labour voting area. So Labour are in the cauldrons at the moment. So many people are abandoning Labour. And if you're abandoning Labour, you're looking around, who do you want to support? Well, the Green Party are farther to the left than Labour. So lots of people are going, yeah, the Greens. The Greens now are slowly turning into a radical Islamic party. So lots of Muslims now are leaving Labour, voting Greens, because Greens are all about free Palestine, supporting Hamas. So I can understand them going there. But Greens' biggest mistake, really, if they're ever going to try to get to power, even win this seat, is they're unpalatable to the average voter. Once you look at the Greens, I mean, they've announced now that they want to legalise all drugs. They're really into the LGBT lunacy, teaching kids about homosexual anal sex at 5 years old. What? When you hear about all these policies and these things they want to do, most traditional Labour voters go, no, thank you. But they are doing well. I mean, when you're in Gorton, you're walking around. So many houses, more than anyone else, have got green posters, green stickers in their windows, on their doors.
Do you think that's primarily because of the position on Middle Eastern politics? I don't really see what Middle Eastern politics has to do with the green agenda in there. In my view, non-existent climate crisis concerns. Is that where that's mainly coming from?
Oh, absolutely. Because in the Gorton side of things, a third of the people in Gorton are Muslim. So now they're being told by their mosques, by their imams. George Galloway stood down and said, vote green. Jeremy Corbyn stood down and said, vote green. And the Muslim vote is really coming behind the Green Party. And what we need to understand is this is a Trojan horse strategy. The radical Islamists are purposely trying to take over the Green Party. And this is the next step on that. And once they get on the executive and once they have more power, they will start sacking and kicking out the eco-lunatics. And then it will be a Muslim party. And the colour green is perfect for them.
So you think that basically the reality here is that the Green Party shifted away from green politics into other things?
Absolutely. There's a video online at the moment of green canvassers knocking on doors, asking who you're voting for, and then asking you, do you support Free Palestine? If you say no, they make a note of your name and address. You're not a Free Palestine supporter. And someone's caught all this on camera and challenged them about it. So this is the new Green Party.
I want to ask, that's an interesting point. Have a bit of fun now. And I want to play your video after this as well, but a bit of fun. We've got an idea of some of the things I'm not interested in. Let me ask your view on these things. What are the public saying on the doorsteps when you're canvassing about the Chagos Islands?
Oh, this is number 2 issue for people who like me couldn't even spell the word Chagos. Never mind know where it is, no matter care about it. Yeah. Since this started 6 months ago, no one has ever mentioned these islands to me ever. It's a shame because it's important, but it's on no one's mind.
So Chagos Islands aren't featuring too heavily in this particular election campaign then?
No,
not peculiar.
No one's got posters going, Free Chagos. No.
Okay, that's it's an interesting thing because if you live within 2 miles or 3 miles of Parliament, you'd think it's about all that people talk about. Yeah. And if you're one of the few people who still buys the newspaper, it's all that anyone talks about. What about this one then? What are people saying about Vladimir Zelensky and whether he should have elections in Ukraine?
This is the 3rd most popular thing people mention on the doorstep is what are you, Nick Buckley? What are you going to do about? Are you going to solve the Ukraine crisis? Are you going to stop giving billions and billions of money we don't have to the Ukraine? So I've got to put him straight and say, well, I'm going to put on my Batman suit and I'm going to fly over there and I'm going to sort the shit out myself. No one mentions Ukraine. I don't think anyone knows it's still going on. I really don't think people think it's going on.
Okay, 3rd and last potentially burning issue in the constituency. How many, this is Emmanuel Macron mysteriously wearing sunglasses indoors. How many people are saying to you, Nick Buckley, I'll vote for you in Advance UK if you can tell me, is Emmanuel Macron married to a man?
Well, it's worse than that because what I've been telling people on the doorstep is if I'm elected their MP, I'm going to join the coalition of the Wallies. And I'm going to sit next to them, and I'm going to support them. I'm going to support these brave politicians who are fighting for the Wallies.
That lot,
yeah, them guys, yeah,
the 3 amigos,
yeah, absolutely.
You can see them. You can see them in the Beans scene in Blazing Saddles, or is it the 3 amigos? I can't remember which now.
Yeah.
If you had those 3 on your side, if I had, I'd surrender immediately. I wouldn't want them canvassing. So the sexual orientation of Emmanuel Macron and the gender of his partner are not central issues on the doorstep. Who knew? Who knew that Gorton and Denton wasn't interested in that subject? Now, we've got possession of a video, which I understand we got permission to play. It's an interesting one. I want to play this. Obviously, it's part of your election material. But we can play it because we got permission from your team to do it. I'm really impressed with the way this is put together. Clearly, use of artificial intelligence. I'm playing it because I just like it, really.
Yeah.
People can vote or not vote for you, but I just want to play this. Just have a look at this video. Just tell us about how was it made before we play it. This 90-second video of yours.
It was two guys in Wigan who are doing this for business, came up with this proposition. They've made 2 or 3 of these types of videos for me for this campaign. This is the outstanding one out of the 3.
Yeah, okay, well, let's just have a look at it. I'll play all of it. I think it's quite nice.
As a baby, before moving to Longsight, I attended Stanley Grove Primary School and then Central High School for Boys at Bellevue, which was a challenge.
Sorry, miss.
I was a self-employed market trader, then got a job at Manchester Airport before working at Manchester Council to stop young people getting involved in crime. I was made redundant and used my payout to set up a charity to work on the streets with young people to ensure they were safe and thinking about their future. We uncovered sexual abuse many times and had offenders arrested. I also set up a project to get homeless people off the streets and into accommodation and then into jobs. I have worked across Greater Manchester, tackling antisocial behaviour and improving local communities. I have even advised Prime Ministers. Our late Queen recognised me for this work and awarded me an MBE in 2019. There is nothing special about me. I'm one of you. I want the best for my neighbours, my community and my country. The time for doing nothing is over. Stand up, chin up, shoulders back. You have already won the lottery of life. You were born English in England.
I really like that. I'm a bit jealous that you have access to people that good. I'm not that good. One concern, though, in the length of time it took you to be filmed for that, you've aged by over 50 years.
Here's the clever bit. The guys who did that, I sent them 8 photos of me from different age ranges. 8 photos. That was it. And I did the voiceover. Everything else they did on the computers. 8 photos.
It's remarkable. And it makes you wonder what's real and what's fake. Maybe this is fake.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe I'm not real.
Maybe I'm better looking in real life.
That's not possible. I'll just ask your buddies to do it for you. Presumably they can do some sort of projection there. I'm going to ask you this question. Who's going to win this? I'm a realist about your likely answer, but
yeah. So
we'll look at the odds in a minute. But who do you think is going to win?
The favourite's a 3-horse race. So Labour, Greens, Reform, any of them 3 potentially can win this. Labour not out of this race.
What about you? Why not you? Aren't you meant to say that you'll win it?
Well, that's my next point. My next point is if Reform don't do as well as they think, and my campaign is definitely reaching out there, I can come through the middle on this because the left-wing vote is split between Labour and Greens, so that's gone. Reform think the right-wing vote belongs to them. It doesn't. And if they do worse, and I'm predicting they'll do worse than they think, I can come through the middle there as the local lad, as the local candidate, not busting.
And okay, that's quite a good recovery. By the way, I don't like all of this rubbish stuff that people say. I have to say that this is the first time that Advance UK stood in a by-election, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're setting a base. Whatever you get is going to be a record for Advance UK, isn't it?
It will be.
Now, Ben Habib, your leader's paid a visit or 2 up there. Not for now, but in the future, I'd like to have a conversation with you about what's going on. Don't do it now. Between Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain and Advance UK, Ben Habib's party. It's not relevant now because Restore Britain hasn't got a candidate there. But I just want to finish by looking at the odds. Can we get the odds up, please? Yeah, there we are. Right, you're right. Greens 1-2, Reform roughly 3-1, Labour 5-1, and your Workers' Party. Has Workers' Party got a candidate?
They dropped out the race.
Okay, so you're in 4th place according to this. Well, maybe 5th, but it depends how you look at it. You're on the next group. I just wonder, one thing I'm interested in here is the extent to which being local does matter. Where does the Labour candidate come from? Where does the Green candidate come from? Are they from the area?
The Labour candidate comes from Greece.
Okay. Is that in Gorton and Denton?
No. I think it's in Europe somewhere. The Green candidate lives in Hale, which is in Greater Manchester, which is the most expensive part of Greater Manchester. That's where the Premier League footballers live. So
well, you have to do that. If you want to be green, you have to be rich.
Yeah.
Poor people can't be greens, in my view.
Out of all the 11 candidates, I'm the only one born and raised in the area.
Okay. Well, those are the odds. The odds can be right. The odds can be wrong.
Yeah. And it also depends which bookies you're looking at, because last week on one of the bookies, I was 80-1.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's going up then. I saw that your odds have been not bad considering it's the first time out. I often say this to people. Red Bull didn't win anything for a long time, and now they're winning Formula One championships, which is quite impressive.
Yeah. Well, Nigel Farage didn't win his first 8 times trying to become an MP.
8 times.
Yeah.
I lost once, then won 3 times, then lost once.
No.
That was my parliamentary campaigning. But that's another story. It's not about me. No. Thanks so much. And you're going to be hopefully back to business as usual. Whether you're the MP or not, you'll still be here for us on Wednesdays, I hope.
I shall be.
Since you have been very generous with your time, last word to you about this by-election.
If you live in the area, don't let anyone tell you who to vote for. Check out all the candidates. Ignore the political parties. Check out the candidates. Which one of those candidates has a track record of improving your area where you live? Which candidate has a plan to start improving your area going forward? Vote for the candidate, not for the political party.
Very nicely put. Thanks so much indeed. That is Nick Buckley, MBE, one of the candidates. If you're watching this live and you happen to live in Gorton and Denton, you can vote for him. You can vote for any of the other parties as well. They were all listed on that. The parties. I haven't got the names there. Can we just get that up for some kind of balanced parties there? Green Reform, Labour, Advance, Conservatives, Lib Dem, Social Democrats. I think they've all got candidates. I think Monster Raven Looney's standing as well, actually, but unlikely to win. So you decide what you want. Are Monster Raven Looney standing?
They are. He's called Sir Onkelot.
The one I like and I got to know very well was Nick the Flying Brick, who's one of whose policies was to abolish gravity. It's just quite nice. Anyway, the gravity of the situation is not lost on me. I predict that this is, in fact, a referendum on Keir Starmer. I don't think Labour can win, but I could be wrong. If Labour wins, then Starmer's in a much stronger position. If they lose, I think people expect them to lose. He's weakened, and I think he'll stagger on till the May elections. But after that, very hard to see how he continues.